Well, I didn't have anything set, but when I was signing into my email to check out that thing, one of the news stories on the website was Smash Mouth singer Steve Harwell enters hospice care.
I did see that. For I think it's like kidney disease or like liver. He has something going on. Yeah.
Liver failure, yeah.
Yeah.
The article's written by Scoop Harrison, which sounds like the fakest reporter name ever, though.
I got a real scoop here for you. Scoop Harrison. I'm looking him up.
Wait, maybe that's it. Okay, I clicked on it and it took me to Alex Young. So maybe that's like, is that his like fun like pen name or something?
Yeah. Smash Mouth. Yeah, Steve Harwell. It's not looking good.
Jesus.
Although his Wikipedia article is pretty interesting. He's had some interesting late in his life things that he's done. Like doing like Nazi salutes and shit.
I think I saw like I remember, I don't remember what I saw it in, but like clips of a show where he's,
I think he was like an anti-COVID guy too.
Oh.
Like on August 8th, 2020, the band performed at the 2020 Sturgis rally, and vocalist Harwell said things such as "fuck that COVID shit" during the performance. And then in 2021, the band performed at the Big Sip Beer and Wine Festival. Harwell appeared to be intoxicated, threatening audience members and performing what looked like a Nazi salute. Following the performance, Harwell announced his retirement due to ongoing health issues. It's just like, yeah, my liver, maybe do that Nazi salute, man. It's I gotta stop. Which, like, Smash Mouth has already replaced him with another dude, apparently.
I saw that, yeah. Yeah. This wasn't fun. Why did I bring this up?
The darker underbelly of Smash Mouth.
Speaking of not fun, and why did I bring it in?
Yeah.
Welcome back to There Will Be Duds. This is episode 115, and I'm your co-host, TJ. With me as always.
As always, I'm Nick, and I know I suggested it, but I was gonna be like, we got beef, but I was wondering if this was
a beef one. No, it was me.
Okay, well, I guess I joked about it during the last episode, and then yeah, all right, okay, I got beef.
It's okay. I got beef with myself. So
okay. All right.
And the reason for that self-beef and other beef is the movie that we watched this week, which was and is the one we're talking about.
Yes.
Oldboy from 2013, directed by Spike Lee. It follows Thanos, who is kidnapped, held in the hotel room, and he doesn't know why, and he's in prison there for a very long time, and he's let out, he doesn't know why.
He's imprisoned by...
And then he's...
Nick Fury.
Nick Fury, yep. And then he teams up with Scarlet Witch.
Yes.
And Eddie Kaspbrak from It helps him out a little bit, and Michael Imperioli from all the Disaronno commercials. And there's another one too. Oh, and the bad guy is another one of the bad guys is Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's an MCU pre-reunion movie because I think this is before any of them were in. Yeah, pre-union. And yeah, it's a remake of Oldboy, which we did last week. So
yes.
I like that was something that I didn't write down, but something that I kind of like snorted at or whatever, was that it says based on the Korean motion picture Oldboy. I feel like you don't usually get it like specified, like the country of origin. It's a little weird.
Also, there was like a space in between. It was like old space boy, which I don't think is the correct.
Yeah,
unless maybe it is.
I think like the official, like the title is the one word, but you might be right.
Yeah,
I know like the opening, it had it like old on top and then boy on the bottom.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So, yeah, we kind of briefly talked about it last week when we were talking about the OG boy.
Yeah.
And then decided to bring it in.
This is the no G boy. This was not fun. I mean, I know it's not a dud week, right. But this certainly felt like a dud sometimes, or like one of those dud movies.
It's a bad movie for sure.
With its inexplicable, not quite so funny, it's bad moments, but mostly just its bad moments. Really baffling its bad moments, where I would much rather have seen Spike Lee taken it completely and twisted it and changed it entirely. Like, I don't know, man. Like, make it, because I'm looking at the IMDb trivia, and apparently like Will Smith was originally like an option for like the main dude, and it's just like, you're Spike Lee, you're known for like Malcolm X and Do the Right Thing and these sort of like blaxploitation movies. Like, why just he should have just made it like one of those like a Quentin Tarantino style like 70s blaxploitation samurai movie, but like with the Oldboy story. I don't know, I feel like it would have been more interesting with like his, because this just felt like a boring movie.
No, you know who you cast in the American remake of Oldboy?
Who?
Nicolas Cage.
Oh, yes.
Easy.
He's the only one, because Josh Brolin, which I like Josh Brolin.
I like Josh Brolin too.
Good
I
actor.
like Elizabeth Olsen. I like Samuel. I like a lot of these people.
But Josh Brolin the entire time was just like, the whole time, just doing his grimace the whole time.
Yeah, his Thanos Sigma look, purple boy stare.
His purple boy stare. I couldn't take him seriously at all.
No, like, it's really weird how like it's proof of like just how bad direction or bad editing can like make a like, because I think he's like bad in this movie. But I think it's like not entire, I think it's either direction or the way that it's edited or something, but it's just the filmmaking is not flattering towards any of the performances. And like, I would say that near the beginning, it's kind of, it borders on that like haha, like laughably bad, because like him, like everything with him, like before he gets kidnapped when he's drunk, is so over the top.
Yeah,
it's so like ridiculous. Like how in the old one you get that little, it starts with him after the room, but then it cuts back and he's like drunk and he's being silly, and it's like charming in a way. Yeah, he's not like a piece of shit. It's just like, oh, he's a drunk guy, and it's like there's like a big difference too with like how he is as like a father and a family man, because in the original it's like, yeah, he's drunk, but you know that he loves his daughter. Like he bought those like the angel wings for her, and he's like talks about her a lot to the police officers as he's in the holding area or whatever. He seems like not a bad guy, but he's just, he got drunk. He got a little loosey goosey. Yeah. And it's the American one. It's like they were like, oh, he's drunk. Okay, he must be an alcoholic, right? So then they're like adding in all this other shit. Like he gets in an argument with his wife. He's like, he's not even gonna show up for his daughter's birthday. Yeah.
She's 3. She's not gonna remember it when she's 3 years old.
She is 3 years old, okay? 3 years old.
What did you say?
I said you are a fucking bitch! Fuck!
Yeah, and that's like it's the epitome of American, like all the stereotypes that people say of American movies, like over explaining everything. Like you gotta see him like, oh, he's pouring the alcohol into his cup and he's going into work and drinking, and then like On top of that, you literally have him shouting, "I'm drunk," in like the alleyway.
Just shouting everything that he's doing as he's walking around.
Yeah.
I'm drunk. Does anybody have any more alcohol? Does anyone have more alcohol? Oh. I don't want to go anymore.
And like, and it's tough because obviously you're gonna want to compare and contrast this one with the one that it's based on, which is why I think I would have much rather. This feels like a half-assed thing because I feel like he's trying to like stay true to it, but then also alter it, change it, kind of do things differently, put his own little twist on it. But it's like I every single subversion of the original movie, every single time he tries to change anything, it is for the worse.
Yeah, I think that's what I said last time when we brought it up. Yeah.
Did you? Okay. Like, you got this very brief Lance Reddick scene where you're supposed to see that he's like this cunning businessman who'll do whatever, but totally misreads the situation, and as soon as Lance Reddick leaves the room, he like immediately starts hitting on his wife, thinking like, oh, like, yeah,
very aggressively, very creepily.
But then even then she's just like, I want to get as far away from you as humanly possible. Which is just, even her delivery of that, just like,
yeah,
you thought he was, it almost made me think that she thought he was like a scumbag the entire time, which like I guess maybe she did, I don't know, like,
maybe
their entire bit, it just seemed very forced and not realistic at all.
Yeah, like a, what do you call it, like an about face kind of reaction.
Yeah, exactly. And it just again felt, again, you know, thinking of, you know, Park Chan-wook's Oldboy, you see him in the drunk tank, you kind of get this image of what he is, but it's not over explained. You don't know like specifically what kind of business he does. You don't see him doing that business. It's all
just
implied.
a salary man. It's not important.
Yeah, he just has some job, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then this, it's like you have to spend, because this movie's shorter by like 20 minutes. It's shorter,
but like it takes twice as fucking long for him to get into the hotel room and then like to get out too. It takes so fucking long.
And there was a certain point where I was like, oh shit, we only have like 30 minutes left. Like they're gonna wrap all this up and there's like 30 minutes left. It feels like there's a lot more ground to cover.
Yeah. And that's like when they have sex. It's like way towards the end, and it's like they forgot. They're like, no, you have to have this in there, and they're like, okay, all right, we'll put it here, I guess.
Yeah. Allegedly there is a Spike Lee cut.
Always is.
I don't know what could possibly be in there that would change my mind about it, because even like you're supposed to make Josh Brolin's character, you're supposed to like root for him, right? You like ideally,
I guess,
you want him to get his revenge. But the entire time, even when like he's supposed to be romancing this young woman, the entire time he just still has this blank scowl on his face.
Yeah, there's no chemistry whatsoever.
Yeah, like there's even, I love it. I think it was in one of those videos I was watching. Might have been, who was it? Like Ralph the Movie Maker or one of those guys.
YMS did one. He did like a really
that might
long
be the one.
I watched his a long time ago. The only thing that I remembered is, because it's kind of a meme on his channel, is the father before he gets shot by his dad at the end.
Daddy. Yeah. There's like that scene where they're driving in the car, and I think she's driving, and he's just like, and she like reaches over and like touches his face, and she's like, I'm glad you're here. And I don't even think he's just like, he doesn't even say anything to her.
Yeah.
You're supposed to believe that these characters are like in love with each other.
All the acting on his part is bizarre, or like the reaction choices, like all that, the scowly shit. And I think it's weird how, like, again, before he was in, he like didn't seem to really care about his family much, and then he like sees the TV program where it's like the like fake one that Adrian, the bad guy, made, the Mysteries of Crime. It's like, oh, here's Mia, this is her, the fake one or whatever, and he's like oh, like so overly like, oh my god, my precious daughter. And sure, he's been in the hotel room for however long at that point. I'm sure he's probably any sort of like connection, like something that he gets, I'm sure that he's probably kind of more receptive to that. But it's just a weird switch, like the movie's acting like he was a good father the whole time when we saw that he wasn't.
Like 5 minutes prior, he's just like, she's not gonna remember anything from her third birthday. Why do I need to be there, you dumb bitch?
Yeah.
Just like, he cares now.
Yeah.
Do you think it's in Samuel L. Jackson's contract that he has to have weird hair in every movie that he does?
I took note of that too. Like, what was the one? The Jackie Brown, is that the one where he had?
Yes.
Or was it Hard 8 where he had weird? Maybe in both. I don't know.
I don't remember his hair in Hard 8, but Jackie Brown. He had like this
ponytail,
long, this like long orange colored ponytail, and then even Pulp Fiction, he's kind of got like the Jerry curl thing.
I guess
which I guess is more, but it's still like a stylistic choice. His hair color changed, right?
It was blonde. I think at first,
and then in the scene when he goes back to like her house and they have Elizabeth Olsen captured, and then he gets the phone call and they're like, oh, let her go. His hair is like black. It's a different color. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be like his character changed it or if it was just a mistake. I'm leaning on the side of mistake.
I could see it being. I'm trying to see. I'm only seeing. Oh no, yeah. It's like, it's just black. So it's like it took the dye out or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's different too. It's like.
Yeah.
It's thinner. Yeah. Weird.
Yeah.
Which
I thought he looked like Dr. Robotnik in that scene. He's got like this red kind of like thing on, and he's got like the little tiny round glasses, and I was like, oh, cool. He looks like Dr. Robotnik.
He had like a kilt on too. Did you know? You only saw it when he goes to the door. I'm like, God damn, Samuel L. Jackson. You know that he was like, he's like, yes, I'll be in the movie, but I get to decide everything about how I look. And they're like, what? But that doesn't really fit. And he's like, I don't care. It's like, I'm Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. His shtick. I mean, I was already pretty checked out of the movie in terms of like if it was gonna be good or not. Mm-hmm. But his like, it felt like he was just phoning it in, doing the same old Samuel L. Jackson like, you motherfucker, you gonna do this? And I was just like, oh, cool. They're just doing that again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's so boring.
That was one of the scenes that I remembered that the most was him like torturing him, and then like the hall fight, of course. Because I just think it's so weird. It's such a weird torture method. Like, you see the old one, it's like, I'm gonna pull your teeth out, and you're like it's such a like visceral, like, I've never had my teeth just ripped out raw before, but it's like you can, it's a very, emotional,
it makes your butthole
like,
clench, or it makes your like, you grit your teeth and you're like, no, don't do it to me. Oh.
Yeah, and it's like fucked, and it's like it's like a permanent. You're permanently like damaging this guy. And, like, sure, he might have scars from the thing, but it's like, I'm going to cut little pieces of your neck out, ooh, and then I'm going to...
Yeah.
And then he, like, goes over to this table that just has, in this, security hotel thing, this secret hotel thing, and he walks over to the side table that has, like, a couple skeins of yarn and salt and pepper shakers. Like, he didn't come in with anything, so those were just there.
It would have been better if we took like the soy sauce and dipped it in like.
Yeah.
No, you want some General Tso's? You want some sweet and sour sauce in there?
And
yeah.
If you go back to that scene too, he just like puts the ball of yarn in his mouth, and then he doesn't like stuff it. He just kind of sets it in there, and like Samuel L. Jackson could easily just spit it out. Like, it's just
Yeah.
kind of sitting on his mouth, but he's like, oh no, and then Josh Brolin like takes it off like 10 seconds later.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
All of the violence in this movie is like completely just senseless and purposeless.
Yeah.
Purposeless. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, and again, I feel like it's sort of trying to subvert, or like, you know, we're gonna put our own spin on the original Oldboy that you know and love, and they just do a worse job at it. It's less interesting. It's less impactful. Even the way it's shot is boring as shit. Like in like, again, 2003 Oldboy, when he goes to like pull his teeth out, you get that super close up of like the pliers like clamping on, and the sound design, it's like in the studio that was like grabbing ceramic. Like, it sounds like you can almost hear it like in your head, like your own teeth are getting clipped on. And this is just like, I'm gonna dig a little bit out of your neck, and we're supposed to be like, ooh, like,
Yeah. It's so
it doesn't
bizarre.
have the same impact. It's just such a weird method of torture.
The other thing that I love, like, watching this one in comparison, that I never like didn't think about when I watched the other one, is that like when he's pulling his teeth out, like in this, he's like, you know, he cuts a piece out and he's like, who hired you? You know, he's interrogating him. But when he's pulling his teeth out, he has him like duct taped with his mouth open. So he's not even like, he's like, I don't care. I'm going to rip 15 of your teeth out, and then I'm going to ask you questions. It's like he doesn't care. Like, revenge is Odesu's primary motivation. So it like that fits in line, and it just, that was something I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. That kind of like added something to that. So, you know, in a way, I got something good out of this movie because it made me notice something in the old one I hadn't before. Did you catch any of the little references to the old one too, like the girl with the angel wings?
I didn't catch that, but there was the scene when he's like testing out all the dumplings, and he walks into one of them, and like there's an aquarium in the middle of the dining room, and like there's a squid, and he kind of looks at it and considers it, and then keeps walking. I was like, damn, you know what, Josh Brolin, you want your Oscar for this? You want to go full method? Here's how you do it.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe it'll make you express something. And I feel like I'm talking about Josh Brolin like he's a bad actor, and it's like, I know he's not. I know he's not,
dude. I was making a like meme joke out of it before, but like he does a good job as Thanos. Like delivers a legitimately like good performance in Infinity War as a fucking CGI villain in a Marvel movie.
Yeah, Chloe and I were watching this earlier today, and I was just like, what did it cost you? Everything. I mean, yeah, I loved him in No Country for Old Men. Like the same year he did like Inherent Vice.
Sicario too was sometime around.
That's right.
He's pretty good in that too.
Yeah, like he's got a lot more range than this, and in an interview given on November 2014, Josh Brolin expressed his dissatisfaction with the final result of the movie, especially when compared with the 2003 version. Bitch, you were in it. You had a choice in that shit. What are you doing?
Yeah, like you were saying with there's the like longer Spike Lee version or whatever, where it's like, oh, it's, you know, the director's cut, it's better.
Yeah.
But there's shit that I think is just like fundamentally broken with this, that a longer thing isn't going to help. Like Josh Brolin's performance, but also we haven't really touched on him much. Another actor that I like and the other things that I've seen him in is Charlton Copley, who plays Adrian. He's like, I noted like, I think he's in this less. I mean, there is less movie because it is shorter too, but I feel like he's in this less than Lee Woo Jin is in the OG one. But I noted like his second or third scene that he's like the opposite of Li Wu Jin. Like, remember how much we talked about how charismatic and like fun of a villain he was, and how like great and manipulative and like all these good things that a villain should be, and he's just so fucking boring.
Answer the question you never asked. Why did I let you go?
He's so fucking boring. And they make him British for some reason. Like, Charlton Copley is not British. And also, like, it's a prep school. They're in America. Like, it was like, oh, he was a professor, the son of one of the professors. Like, why? Just why can't he just be American? And then it makes it so much weirder when it's like, he's like trying to figure out who it is, and he's like, oh, maybe it's my old boss. And it's like, was your old boss British? No, he wasn't.
I think.
And he's like, oh, I think it was, maybe it was Lance Reddick. And he's like, oh no, he died. And I'm like, oh yeah, that right, yeah.
And he also was not British.
Yeah, with a completely different sounding voice, even if he did have the same accent. And like, then you get like his school, and you can't think of like, were there any British people that I went to school with in my American school? It feels like instantly you'd like narrow it down.
Yeah. Oh, maybe that dude whose sister I saw banging her dad.
Yeah, way more of a, right in the old one. It's implied like he sees through the window. He doesn't see anything, like he does see, you know, some stuff, but it's a lot less explicit, like with what he says. I
was laughing because it's like they're in the bushes and he's like, ho, it's like you know, like riding him, and it seemed like, oh, pip pip. Like, it just seemed so. I mean, his whole character was like really cartoonishly evil. Like, and I think the British accent was literally because like, haha, I've got you now, Mr. Bond, like that type of shit.
They were fucking. They were fucking.
Like, again, like the comparison scene in 2003 Oldboy, when he like collapses in the street or he gets hit by a car, and Li Wu Jin is like, he's like the innocent bystander, but he doesn't like reveal it immediately. He just runs over and he's like, oh my god, sir, are you okay? Someone get this guy a cab. And
so
then when
like
he gets
the
in
audience, you just think it's a
we
random
don't know
person.
either.
Yeah,
but in this one, he has to have his little bad guy quips where he's just like, there's so much more fun to be had.
Yeah.
And it's just like totally, it makes you not feel for that character as like someone who cared about somebody that was, you know, he was like slighted. Someone was taken away from him. Where Li Wu Jin is, he kind of has that like that veneer of charisma, like almost like what's Elijah Wood in like Sin City. Well, I guess that's more of just like completely emotionless.
Yeah.
But he just kind of has like a smile on his face. And that's kind of like Li Wu Jin, where like no matter what, he's constantly just like in control, composed, smiling, but still like that is simmering underneath him. And this guy is just kind of all over the place, but he's just playing cartoonishly evil Batman villain most of the time. And I just can't. It makes me feel empty when I see his character. Like, I don't give a shit about why he put him in this prison or the revenge plot or any of that kind of shit.
There's no depth to his character at all. Like, I realized that when Joe shows up to his penthouse at the end, and I'm like, yeah, you really just feel nothing for him. And then the version of Mr. Han, that's Mantis.
Okay.
She's just there, and then he just kills her right away.
He's like where's
point?
May? And then she attacks him. He slits her throat. She falls to the ground dead, and then he just repeats himself. Like, did she just do that on her own? Was she like, she works for him? Did she just do that? Did he instruct her? Like, there was no reason for her to like attack him. She was like his bodyguard.
I mean, they do have the part when he does show up to the penthouse in the old one. Li Wu Jin like sicks two of his other faceless guys who weren't in it, who weren't characters, just random guys, and then he like takes them out or kills them or whatever. But in this, they make it the Miss Han. I don't know what her name was in this. And it's like, what? Why was she in this at all? Like, she didn't really do anything. They made her the umbrella girl, but like that could have just been. They didn't have to do that. She could have just been the umbrella girl, which they put the fucking tally marks on the umbrella.
Do you get it?
Fucking kidding
Do you
me?
understand?
Yeah. There's some reference stuff that is like kind of cheeky, where it does, like the angel wings or the seeing the octopus in the restaurant. It's like, okay.
I think Elizabeth Olsen has like an octopus tattoo as well, or something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the tally marks are just like fucking shoot me. Holy shit. And I thought it was funny too that like the one thing that is how I'm trying to put this, that like normally is kind of criticized in kind of American movie, like that kind of over-explainy, direct thing, is narration. And they took that out of this, and the narration in the old one adds so much to it. Like it's good use of narration, and they choose to like take that out. Like I think of the scene where he gets out and he like goes to that alleyway, and there's just those like young guys hanging out, and he like takes one of their cigarettes, and then he does like 15 years of training pay off, and then he like beats the shit out of him, and then he's like, it did. And then in this, he's chasing after the umbrella girl, and then just like 5 or 6 dudes just hanging out,
high schoolers
hanging out on a football field in their football jerseys with their 4 girlfriends, just like in the middle of the day drinking beer. And they just like stop him, and then he beats the shit out of them, and it's like you said, like the senseless violence. It's just, there's a fight scene around this time in the old one.
Yeah,
dude, let's have a fight scene, but let's have him like really fuck him up. Let's like add more blood and
they have to have these analogs for the other movie, but you don't do anything interesting with it, and in the context of the story, it's entirely irrelevant. And you could show that like, oh man, I'm being tested for why not test out his martial arts versus like Mrs. Han?
Well, maybe he was trying to, because he was chasing after her, but
yeah,
still. He catches up to her, and she's just like, no, get away from me. And then
like, ew. Yeah.
Another example of that, and again, obviously it is a very, for the most part, a very close recreation, except for the opening. Like they add a lot of the stuff, where he's with his job and whatever, doesn't matter, but like all these scenes just have comparisons to the original that are better. Like the Rami Malek's little cameo as the like the guard guy. And which I think I laughed out loud at, because he just starts screaming.
He's like jiggling.
But think of how cool that scene was in the old one. The little, the dotted lines, the silence. You don't have to see him smash the dude's head in. You get it. It's enough. And that's another kind of callback though that I forgot, is the Count of Monte Cristo. Because he's doing the crossword, and he says the Count of Monte Cristo, because they say that in the old one, and also it's kind of a loose like
adaptation of
minus
story.
The incest. But Count of Monte Cristo is about a guy that's like, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but like I haven't read the book, but the movie, it's like about a guy who gets, I think, imprisoned for a really long time, and then it's like a revenge thing.
Oh, okay.
And he turns into the Count of Monte Cristo. That's his pseudonym or whatever.
Yeah, that whole sequence, I feel like the whole time it wants the audience to be like, uh-oh, the hammer, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And then even the hammer fight scene is just boring, dumb, like kind of shittily choreographed action that doesn't do any. They stab him in the back way too late.
Like how do you fuck it up that badly? Like they do like a one like long take, you know. It's a pretty long take. That should be impressive, but it's just like it's so fucking whack.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like they add all like the video game ass sound effects every time he hits somebody. It's like pew, pew, pew. And speaking of that, the knife stab, you should go back to that spot in the movie. I don't know if you have it, like
I could pull
in
it
the
up.
tab or whatever. You gotta watch that cut because he is in like a completely different area, in like facing a different direction, and it does not match up. So it's a bad edit.
Yeah, and I think the key difference between those scenes is like you have to mask like making guys standing around waiting to get their asses kicked.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make that look good. Because like obviously in a fight scene, you know, they could all just like swarm him and pretty much take him out, right? But you know, in 2003 Oldboy, it seems like choreographed well enough that you're not immediately drawn to like the two guys that are like obviously missing their punches and just like kind of waiting to get their asses kicked. Like, okay, I hit my mark. Now I gotta get my ass kicked. Okay, hold on, I'm gonna find this. Even like the elevator gag sucked.
Yeah, well, like they all run out of the elevator and then they're back in it and they're like beat up. Like, did he push them all back into the elevator?
He's like, no, I gotta make it look like the original. Hold on, guys.
Yeah.
All right, let's pull up this knife scene. Yeah, what the hell? He's like, when
and the guy goes, the guy that stabs him.
Yeah, like he hits the dude with the bat, kind of jabs the dude, knocks him to the ground.
There's
and then he hits him. He hits him like.
There's
hits
a
him one more
fence
time
between the camera and him.
Yeah, and then from there he's like leaning on the guardrail, and then he gets stabbed. Completely different location. So sloppy.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't even. You know, I'm sure subconsciously my brain caught that, but I didn't like notice that. I feel like, yeah, subconsciously I noticed something was off, but goddamn, that is so sloppy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was gonna say I did have a note for like we were kind of talking about. It's like, no, dude, clearly the guy that you're after is like a British dude. There's like that scene when they're in the restaurant and he calls the number, and then the dude picks up his phone. He's like sitting at a table, and it's like, okay, this is the guy who's been calling me, and he's like, oh, it's about time we had a chat, don't you think? And then he like goes over to him and like he takes his list and rips it up, and Josh Brolin's like, no, yeah. And it's like you don't need the list anymore. Clearly this is the guy. But the way that he reacts, like, oh no, my list, like, what were you gonna like, you know, make sure that it's not any of these other guys who are also British psychopaths?
Yeah, and like, wouldn't the idea be that Like, this is the guy, and he's tearing up your list because none of the names are right. So
He was watching you flail around like an idiot because you weren't even going to come close to finding out who the real guy is. Another thing that is just heartbreaking to me, and it almost feels like a middle finger. So Chloe sent me this article, but I did find the video that played after Oldboy with Nicholas Winding Refn. Someone posted it on YouTube, so I did watch the whole thing. But this sort of felt like a middle finger from Spike Lee. I don't think it was intentionally, but revisiting the film during the remastering process, Park is happy with it, yet wishes he had known what a phenomenon the film would have been when he made it. Initially, when we were designing Woo Jin's penthouse, I had this idea of creating a very long single-lane pool. When it's reflected on the glass and he's swimming, it looks like a white fish swimming in a long strip of water against the dark sky of night. I wanted to create a very surrealist image, but couldn't because of the budget. And then in this one, he's swimming in a pool in his penthouse, and it almost seems like a big like that sort of like white figure swimming through. I feel like the way that it's shot is almost exactly how Park Chan-wook described it. And it's like, cool, you have a budget, you got to remake the movie, and it's total dog shit, but you got to do the thing that Park Chan-wook couldn't because he wasn't a big filmmaker at the time and didn't have the expenditures to do it.
I'm gonna say that was just coincidence, because I don't think Spike Lee ever watched the source material. I know for a fact Elizabeth Olsen didn't, because I saw one of the little trivia things.
Saw that
she didn't know the twist until she saw the completed movie. It's like, oh great, so didn't watch the original movie. That's cool. Yeah, no, I feel like Spike Lee's not the guy. He's not the guy to do the American remake. I don't exactly know who, but it don't feel like it's Spike Lee. Clearly not.
I mean, Quentin Tarantino?
Maybe.
He seems like the obvious one just because, all of his movies are probably inspired by Oldboy. Maybe it would have been like a little too on the nose.
I still feel like he would have made, like, Quentin Tarantino's like too cool. Like, his movies are too cool for Oldboy. Oldboy is like needs to be kind of gritty and a little like.
He just would have made Oldboy though. He would have just.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, cool, man. Yeah, that's cool. I'll do that. I'll just do exactly how he did it. Cool.
Yeah. Leo could have been the bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
We say Leo. No, that could still work. If you do like what I said with if it was Nicolas Cage as Odesu and then Leo as Lee Woo Jin, because that would still track with like.
Now I kind of want this.
I know, right?
Who would his daughter be?
Well, I did see in like one of the old other choices, Rooney Mara, and I don't know, I like her. I could see that.
Should have been alright.
Yeah. If we're thinking like if this came out 2013, right? Like when. Yeah. I'm thinking like set then, because both of those guys are a little old to be playing the respective
40-year-olds.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I did the only redeeming feature of this movie, and this is gonna be very crass in dude's rock of me, but Elizabeth Olsen's boobs were like the only redeeming part of this entire movie.
Very surprising. Very surprising.
And it's like, even in like interviews,
I wasn't expecting such a strong performance when she's got like her clothes on, but yeah, not bad. I thought I was thinking along the same lines, but I was just gonna say I appreciated all of the man ass in this movie.
There was a good amount of that.
You got a ton, like when Josh Brolin wakes up in the hotel room and he's totally naked, and he like gets down, he's like on his knees naked, and you're like looking from the back, and he's like looking under the bed, and I'm like, is he gonna fucking gape here? Like he's bending over pretty far, and we're staying on his ass.
Yeah, and then you see the British dude swimming naked in his pool.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny that, like, you know, Elizabeth Olsen had this very sort of like, you know, she thought that this was like an empowering nude scene. Like that was her.
Maybe she should have watched the movie first, the old movie first.
I truly believe in the films I've chosen to be nude in. It helps tell a more grotesque story. There's nothing gratuitous about it, and it creates the opposite of pleasure. I find it empowering.
It's funny because
but she didn't know she didn't know the twist. Do you think if she had known the twist, that would have maybe like changed anything about it?
Yeah, I don't know.
It just seemed like kind of a typical. I don't know. It just didn't seem like, wow, this is really impactful.
Yeah. No. It again, there was no build up, there's no chemistry, no nothing. Another thing that made me like, I guess, appreciate about the old one more is last week I brought up the thing with the like hypnosis, like they were hypnotized into, you know, loving each other. After watching this, I was like, I'm okay with the hypnosis now, because it's watching this and it's like, yeah, it's way more dumb the way that this is pitched, where he was just hoping that it would happen. He's just like, yeah, I was just kind of leaving it up to chance that when you got out, this would happen exactly like this.
Yeah, that's like a huge plot hole. I guess I don't know about plot hole, but yeah, he just totally expected him to just hook up with this one random like, was that the intent then of the woman with the umbrella to like lead him?
That's the only thing. The only kind of like direction that they gave is because she kind of led him to her, but then like she gives him her number, apparently just of her own volition, not because she's hypnotized, just because. And then it's Chucky, Michael Imperioli's character, who ends up calling her.
Yeah,
like it's
totally coincidental.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of like the British guy going around and trying to set all of this up, and he because it's so out of place and weird, like the football players and their girlfriends or whatever, that like he even hired those guys as actors.
Yeah.
And was like, all right, look, here's what's gonna happen. Woman with the umbrella, she's gonna come by here. Gonna be a guy probably chasing her. He's gonna be really confused. So, like, you know, maybe try to stop him, but, you know, don't get in his way too badly. And
he's not like, that dangerous. Don't worry about it.
And then he comes through and just like, oh shit, he killed Todd. Like, he like smashes glass on this dude's face.
Yeah,
and then like kicks his head into the glass shards on the ground. Like,
and
that's like
those dudes up.
Yeah. Like they're like, whoa, we're just actors, man. We're not supposed to be here.
There's so much more that happens in the old one, and like again, it's a little bit longer, but there's like, God, this fucking movie takes so like I said, it takes like twice as long to get through the hotel room stuff. The pacing is just fucking awful, and it feels like nothing really happens compared to, like, I'm just thinking of all the stuff that was in the original one that wasn't in this, like everything with the suicidal guy.
Oh yeah,
like that he tells the story to. That all that stuff is great, and that's completely out of this. Which, okay, if you are going to make a shorter movie, that's something that you could cut. Okay. But I'm just saying that as an example of like everything else that was in the old one, because like the pacing was so much better. that they were just able to include so much more depth and
Yeah,
fun.
and all of that stuff in the original lends a sense of humor to it, a little sense of levity to a pretty dark story. Like they kind of tried to do the parallel with the hotel room, and she's like doing like the thigh exercises, like the aerobics.
Oh, I
and
hated that.
And she's just like, all right, do you feel it? And he's like, yeah, I feel it.
Why does he
like,
cover his dick?
Yeah, again, Josh Brolin, you want the Oscar? Let me see that hog.
Yeah.
But even then, even in OG Oldboy, that there's like a little bit of narration, and like you pointed it out last week, he's like, but the song was just a little bit too short, and he couldn't finish. And
so
like
he tries to kill himself. And
that's like set up punchline. This movie is humorless. It is entirely humorless, and I'm not saying it has to be funny because it's a dark story, but like that little bit of levity every once in a while kind of it works as like a relief from like this dark, sad shit, and it also makes your characters more dimensional than just a guy going around scowling all the time. Like, yeah, go ahead.
Also in the hotel room is they changed the like painting, and they don't even say the weep and you weep along, or laugh and the world laughs with you, the refrain from the old one. It's just like the bellhop that says, how can we improve your stay, and then he has like the little brief hallucination with him. It's just there's no reason for it. There's no point to that bit.
Yeah,
it's just, oh yeah, there's like a thing, there's a picture, there's a creepy picture on the wall in the old one, so we'll have a kind of creepy-ish one in this one, I guess.
We got to give Stanley's brother a cameo.
Spike Lee's.
Spike Lee. Stanley. God,
the Marvel brain still.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Spike Jones, Spike Lee, Stan Lee, all these guys. Too many Spikes and Stans.
And yeah, like, oh yeah, there's this. I thought this was weird. Like you're gonna. The jerking off scene was that important? Like, you're not even gonna have, like, again, the punchline of that scene, but it's like, oh yeah, it's really important that we show him jerking off in the hotel room. That was the point of that, is because you want to see the main character beat it.
Yeah. Well, that's so. I think there was like one Letterboxd review that I saw of this that was basically like, this is what happens when you see Oldboy only as the twist, when you strip it of everything else and that's all you see it as, and that is like your end goal that you're trying to get to. You get this empty, soulless, humorless trash.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that one of the main actors in the movie didn't even see the original and didn't even know that the twist was what there was.
It probably wasn't just her, to be honest. Again, I really don't think Spike Lee watched it. It really doesn't feel like it.
Also, I mean, again, another analog. I feel like Chucky's death was dumb.
It was dumb. The whole
it's not about her, it's about the whore.
Yeah.
Like, you could have said, you didn't have to say that, but he has to say that because that's what gets his buddy killed in the internet cafe in the other Oldboy. So we got to have that parallel.
But it's so much more organic and natural in the old one. And Lee Woo-jin kills him there because he's right there and he has an emotional reaction to it. It's not like...
Right.
Like, otherwise, Lee Woo-jin is very cool and collected, like we said. But in this, it's like, no, he's listening over the phone, and then he shows up later. And then that expression that Michael Imperioli makes when he's getting choked, like... It's so silly. And then they cut his tongue off. And they send it to him. Because somebody gets their tongue cut off in the old one. Jesus Christ.
Hold on, let's see Michael Imperioli. Let's see. Come on.
boo. Yeah, it's silly.
Man, it felt like during some of these scenes with Josh Brolin, I feel like they like powdered his face with like white makeup or like baby powder because he looks pale as shit.
And his eyes are
thought,
like super red, I
thought he looked like Tuco from Breaking Bad. Like when he's out in the desert.
Sure, yeah.
And then the other analog that, like, again, so stylistic and cool, him following his younger self around the school.
Yeah.
And, like, kind of piecing that together. And, you know, it's sort of pensive. It's sort of thoughtful. Like, he's retracing his steps. He doesn't know exactly what's going on. And then in this one, it's just like, I'm a frat boy, you douchebag, hey, ho, ho, ho.
And they're just standing there, like standing in the background, like.
Yeah, again, like you'd think it's supposed to be. He's trying to do that stylistic thing, like young and old version, like kind of in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's supposed to be in the 80s. It does not look like it's in the 80s.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it doesn't.
Like, I guess the one girl kind of has one of those like really wide necked shirts where like her sleeve is kind of off her shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like how people in high school dressed on like 80s Day for Spirit Week. Like they're all dressed in that stereotypical like what someone from the 2000s would think someone from the 80s dressed like.
Yeah,
like that's the level of costume design for that.
Yeah.
Also, I laughed at the scene when he like goes and gets the like vodka out from under the vent of the greenhouse, and I was just like, oh, I left this here in 1986 because I wasn't sure. For a second, I thought it was like a different Josh Bro. Like I thought it was him.
Oh,
and not
okay,
like his
gotcha.
past self.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, oh, sorry, I have it pulled up. Him seeing the girl having sex with her dad, which is another departure from the original.
Mm-hmm.
In the original, it's like, yes, it's like an incestuous scene, but it's done so much more like tenderly, I guess. Like they're like kind of in the classroom, and it's kind of like awkward. He's like kind of like, oh, can I? Oh, ooh. But this one, it's just like a Hollywood like,
Yeah,
and it's like, it's just like, come on.
Yeah.
How am I not supposed to like laugh at how silly this is?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's way more like the villains being like, oh, my father was a great man. He just suicided my entire family. Yeah, and like they're all like, when he kills them, his sister and him are both ready to like get eaten out or whatever, because they're both like undressing before he shoots them. It's weird.
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing that your dad ever like does with you. Like it doesn't have to be like the whole thing, the whole relationship or whatever.
Yeah, I just love that he's like, father, and he's like unzipping his pants.
Yeah.
He just gets blown away.
That's a perfect like thing towards what you said, that one review said, where it's like it's just the twist. It's like, yeah, they, their family is all about incest. That's all they care about is incest. That's the only thing that matters. Yeah. I like when the bad guy calls him, for some reason, he calls him Joseph Doucet at the end.
Yeah. It was like Deuce it the whole time,
Yeah.
but then he's going to put a little bit of flair on it.
Yeah.
That CGI of him blowing his head off looked so shitty.
The dad?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it did.
Man, what a pointless movie.
Mm-hmm. I guess I got a couple rapid fire notes before we get to our wrap ups.
Okay.
So, One is it's showing like you're getting like kind of the first little montage of in the hotel room, which by the way, there is no sense of time passing in the hotel room. Like it's so weird, like when the time jumps and it's like, oh, Mia's like 10 years old now. I'm like, really? It doesn't seem like that much time has passed. But anyways, you see he's watching TV and the news story comes up of like, oh, the body of this, whatever his wife's, Deborah or whatever, his wife was found, and their daughter, the 3-year-old Mia. But right before that, he's watching Xena, Warrior Princess, which did not premiere until 1995. He was abducted because there's a subtitle, and also he says it, on October 8th, 1993, which was Mia's 3rd birthday. So, at the very latest, because they say she's 3. So at the very latest, that would be October 7th, 1994, which is still a year before Xena came out. And then I think later in like the Mysteries of Crime thing, they say they give the date as July the 4th, 1994. That's like, so they did that like 10 months after he was abducted. They killed his wife and stuff. I don't know. The timeline's very weird. But there's that. I thought it was weird that when he's like going to all the restaurants trying to, the dumplings, figure out where it was or whatever. He's like trying some of them and he'll get sick and like puke them up. But when he gets to the right ones, he finishes the entire plate. Don't you think he would puke up the ones that he ate for 20 years and not some other ones?
You would think that he would have like such a visceral reaction that he would just be like, I figured it out.
Yeah.
But it's like his facial expression is the same as if he was. It's almost like when they were shooting that, they just picked one at random and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we have the footage.
Yeah.
We'll just make this.
Yeah.
We'll just make this the one, I guess.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah, you're right. That he pukes up the other ones. Like, I don't know. It just felt backwards.
There was also another, because I try not to like, I guess, nitpick too bad, but like the technology in this movie pissed me off. Like I feel like they were trying to do like a visual joke about like, he's like, oh, where's the payphones? Where are the yellow pages? I need to find these restaurants. And she's like, just let me look it up on my phone for you. And there's like a scene where like she types in like dragon, and then she holds the phone, and the phone starts like scrolling, but nobody's touching it to make it scroll.
Okay.
And like usually it's like, okay, you don't have to have like the firmest grasp on technology, but because the movie was already shitty outside of that, I was like, my CinemaSins was like, ding. That's phones don't scroll like that. Like you have to like. It's like 2013, but like the iPhone had been around long enough where like that's the functionality of it. It's not just gonna scroll on its own, but because it's a movie, they probably just held the phone up and then green screened like the actual screen on it, and then I don't know. It was a nitpick, but it made me mad.
The last one that I had, other than I did just put dumb ending because I fucking hate the ending. It's so stupid.
It is.
That he locks him. It's so fucking dumb.
He goes back.
That's the local film festival short film ending where it's like, ooh, it's ending just like how it began. And that's supposed to be significant. But no, the other actual note was that she doesn't know what the duck thing is. Like when at the ending when he like, she doesn't know the significance of it. He gives her the duck thing, and she like laughs at it. Like it's this weird fucking duck man thing. It's just, like the reaction was like, what the what? What
you give me $5.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm drunk.
Yeah, I can't remember what he says, but yeah, that interaction with that.
How much is that?
$5.
Ah.
So that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Let's put this boy
Ugh.
down. Let's put this dog down.
Yeah. This is a dog that needs to be put down. I'll go first. Man, I think this might be the lowest rated normal cup movie. 2 is where I landed. Really just kind of a waste of time. And I don't know if it would be different based on what I know from the original Oldboy, but I still think even without that, the context of that movie in mind, this would just be like a completely bland thriller that even though the reveal, the twist, it's like nothing. It's nothing. You don't feel anything because none of these characters are good or developed at all. Again, the only saving grace is like the brief moment of Elizabeth Olsen's boobs. I hate to be crass, but that's really the only redeeming feature in an otherwise pretty bland and shitty movie. And it's like it takes a certain flair to make a violent revenge incest story boring, but damn it, Spike Lee did it. 2 out of 10, man. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I was kind of pondering that too. That like, what would this be like without the original? And it would be a void movie, one of those empty spaces that you stare at for a certain amount of time and you gain nothing except maybe some irritation and maybe some stimulation for brief moments.
It's the only thing you feel.
And like I can't even really rightly say if it's worse because it's a remake, because of course compared to the original it's awful, but I feel like even without, it's still a really bad, boring, nothing movie. So for me it's a 0. It's nothing. You know,
right, now we're talking.
You know, I was fluctuating around like a 1 or maybe a 2, but I'm just I gotta put my foot down. It's like, this shit shouldn't be fucking allowed. This movie should not be allowed to exist.
No.
So yeah, I'm taking a stand. This is a fucking 0. This movie fucking sucks. So
yeah.
Congrats, Unprofit. You've risen.
Yeah, that's
you've risen in the ranks for once.
Yeah, man, this movie makes Unprofit look like, man, a masterpiece.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Like, that was more of just like, that was kind of like a nothing, but I think I even said that like there was some things in there that I could appreciate. Like, I think I said like the lead act, like some, you know, like the acting was good, or there was some shot. Like, there's nothing in this. It's just all you have is comparing it to the original in a negative light.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that. Like, not, I don't know. I guess I was just kind of confirming, because I had seen this previously, but when it came out, so it's been literally, hey, we got the 10 or 20 year anniversary of the original and the 10 year anniversary of this one.
Oh yeah.
But there you go, on complete opposite ends of the rating scale for me. So yeah, there we go.
Wow, I think that's the lowest rated one that we've ever done.
Yep. It'll be pretty hard to beat that too, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sick.
But that's why this, I reiterate that it's not good cup, bad cup. it is regular cup and dud cup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there can be some bad ones in the regular cup. I mean, this wasn't in the cup, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Right.
So, other than Oldboy, I didn't watch too many other movies this week because I was finishing up some shows. I finished How To with John Wilson. I'll be brief since I brought that one up again. And just kind of say again that it's just this wonderful little gem. I think you should check out if you like stuff like Nathan For You, kind of oddities. The finale was like it does just kind of end like the finale does kind of veer into, I guess, like what I was expecting, to where like it's not like too much more significant of an episode. It's no Finding Francis, which was the ending of Nathan For You, but it ends with he kind of has like this monologue on mortality and that kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, that's kind of what I was expecting. Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Like maybe a little extra profound wrap up to the episode. But the part that was kind of just like, you know, along for that, I was like, yeah, okay, this is like what I was expecting more or less. But the part that kind of choked me up unexpectedly, because I got through all that and I was like, I was okay. But he ends every episode by saying, this is John Wilson, thanks for watching. That's what he always says. And in this one he says, this is John Wilson, thank you so much for watching my movies. And it was just that little extra that like got me.
I feel like that evokes like a childlike wonder, because that sounds like a thing like a kid would say, like, thanks for watching my movies.
Yeah.
That like that's what that sort of sounds like to me, that very innocent, because I've only really seen like the first episode. I'd have to give it another shot. Something about his voice and the way it was done. I think I was like, maybe I was too. I think it might have been like when the rehearsal was going when I watched it, but I was just like, with Nathan Fielder and Joe Pera, I was like, another one of these, another like sort of twee, like mundane but profound like thing. I was like, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to give it another shot. But I do like that as like just a little twist at the end.
Yeah. I do like his personality, and that's definitely part of it. But like what really like stands out to me about the show is the writing, in as far as like his like the whole show is just him doing voiceover, and then sometimes he'll like talk to people and you'll get like the diegetic audio stuff, but most of it is just him doing voiceover. And he has he's filmed so much. He's gotten so much footage just around the city through, apparently he's just filmed stuff his whole life. So he has like a visual reference for everything he says. And it's crazy. The visual puns in that show are just nonstop. It's so impressive. And then also just how every episode just like spins off, like where they end up going with every episode. Like the last episode was how to track your package, and it starts with like, how do you keep track of like something that you order from Amazon? You know, you could do this, you could literally follow the truck around if you want. So he like he looks into like organ donors, but then they like get and apparently this was an actual like mistake they made, where instead of like human organ donors, it was like a piano organ. So they follow around like a church organ donor company, and then that takes him to like New Mexico or Arizona or something, where he like meets this guy who works for this cryonics company, like freezing you after you die to like preserve your remains. So then it turns into like tracking your like the package is like your your body in the afterlife type stuff, and that's where it kind of goes into the talking about mentality and stuff. And like this dude that he meets, just like he's just kind of talking to him about like, oh, why didn't you like ever like have any kids, and the guy just starts talking about how like when he was younger he like castrated himself and then like cut all the nerves of his his penis so that he wouldn't feel like sexual stimulation. And then in like the wrap-up monologue, John makes an allusion to that, like, if you don't pay attention you can lose your package sort of thing, like, works that into it.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So yeah, like it always starts with these basic simple conceits but spirals off, and it's so fun, the journeys that the idea always goes on. So yeah, Maya's it's like a 10 out of 10 show. I fucking adore it. I think it's awesome. 18 episodes, half hour long, pretty easy watch.
Yeah, I can knock that out.
And then the other show that I finished up that me and Kelly had been watching over the last like month or so is The Nick. That one's a few years old. It's like from 2014, 2015. It's it's about this hospital. It's set in 1900, and I think the second season is like 1901 or 1902. So it's like just after the heroic age of medicine, which is like where, I don't know, a lot of kind of pushes towards modern medicine is happening, but it's also like before a lot of very commonplace things are like nowadays, like the germ theory. So it's like before that. And it's fucking awesome. It fucking rules. Easily would have made my like best shows of the decade list had I watched it in time.
Had you watched them back then?
Clive Owen is the lead, and he's always been one of those actors that I've liked in stuff. But he is so fucking great in this show. It's easily my favorite performance of his. He's like the head doctor, but he is constantly on heroin and cocaine.
Hell yeah.
And he doesn't play it in that typical like drug addict fashion.
Like we gotta get the close up of him like inserting,
He plays like he's like a high functioning addict. And he's just so fun to watch in that show. He's so good. The whole cast is great, but he is definitely like the standout. It has a lot of stuff to do with like racial stuff. Like they hire their first like black doctor, and there's some.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah, one of the other doctors is like a eugenicist. So.
Oh, great.
And yeah, it's just really cool the way that it explores the medical field at the time in different areas of the medical field, because there is a character whose like wife, they like lose their child, so she gets like she starts kind of getting a little I don't know what it is, but like a little kind of crazy after the kid dies. Like thinks she's still
like some
alive,
sort of postpartum
and a little
thing,
like
or...
delusional, yeah, sort of kind of thing like that. So he like checks her into a psych ward, and you kind of get like a view into like how psychiatric medicine was at the time, and like a lot of pitfalls and
woman, you're being hysterical.
Yeah, like that kind of shit. Yeah. And it almost always cuts around the actual surgeries. You always get like the build up. Like you see them start the surgery, and then like they make the incision, and then it cuts, and it's like afterwards. But it's really cool, like, and it's simultaneously like fascinating and frustrating the ways that they're like, oh, this person has this disease, so obviously this is what we're gonna do to fix it. And now like it's funny like watching it just as like not a doctor, just a regular person being like, oh my god, you fucking idiots, that's not what you do there. But like that's what the best minds thought at the time.
Gotta cover him with leeches now, I think. I don't know if that's historically accurate to that time period.
They don't do
but it's
anything
like that
quite
sort
like
of
that,
mentality where they're, it was, this is the standard at the time, so that's what we're gonna do.
Or stuff like to treat because they start working with like addicts, like, and they're trying to figure out what in the brain makes you addicted, and because up to that point was just like seen as a choice and like not realized as like an actual like addiction as a disease, and he's trying to kind of like break into that as like a more accepted thing, and so they do some lobotomies to try to remove that part of the brains, that kind of stuff. But yeah, a great show. It's directed by Steven Soderbergh, who
I saw that when I was looking at it.
Is just one of those guys who just he's a very interesting guy, because he does some very mainstream stuff, and then some very non, like,
right.
He's definitely falls into that kind of like one for you, one for me kind of director. But I think he directed every single episode of the show, which is cool.
That's pretty crazy. Usually for like, those types of shows, you get like the big movie director for like a couple episodes.
Yeah, like House of Cards.
House of Cards, or like Mindhunter with like David Fincher for a few of them, and then it's like, okay, now we're but that's cool that he was interested enough in it to like do the entire thing. That would be a fun Vault episode. I haven't seen any of the Ocean's movies.
Oh really?
I haven't seen any of them, so if we wanted to do the Ocean's
movies, that'd be cool. I don't know what it is about these like kind of dark period piece dramas like this, or The Terror, or Band of Brothers, which I guess falls into a slightly different category, but when we finished this, I was like, I could see this falling into our rotation of like me and Clea, we watch The Terror almost annually. Chernobyl also, Band of Brothers. I could easily see the Nick falling into that too. It's like I could easily revisit this show. I think it's awesome. The ending is slightly disappointing. I'll say that, because it did get canceled after 2 seasons, and I did kind of confirm that. I guess Clive Owen was only, what's the word? Contracted to do 2 seasons. And you get to the end of that episode, and I was like, man, that feels kind of like they had it planned, but kind of not. And what it was that they had his storyline planned. Like, okay, he's only contracted for 2 seasons. We know where he's going to end up at the end of the 2nd season. We know his whole, like, the showrunners knew where he was going to, how his story was going to end at the end of the 2nd season. And that's kind of what it like, his storyline feels complete. Everything else feels like, oh, they were kind of setting that up for a follow-up. So it's all right, because again, he is the best character, he's the best part about the show, so you do get a conclusion for the best part of the show, but there's also some other stuff that's kind of left up.
They probably could have done more of if they'd gotten more episodes, but they didn't. So that's always a bummer.
Good show though. Great show.
Okay. I did see a movie this week. A movie that I've been kind of looking forward to a little bit. Although at the Celebration Cinema we were at, it was literally in all the way to the back in like the smallest theater. And I had to go and like talk to someone to get it turned up, because it was like, you know how there's like a volume that they have when they play Nuvi with Maria Menounos, like that kind of shit. And then when the movie starts, you can tell there's a noticeable bump.
Change.
That didn't happen. And so like I went out and I was like, hey, this seems kind of quiet. And they're like, yeah, like we can only really turn it up so much without blowing out the speakers. They did turn it up a little bit more, and it was good. But I was just like, man, it's almost like they want this movie to like fail in the box office. That movie being Bottoms, directed by I forgot.
Emma Seligman.
Seligman. She did
Spelled that way at least.
she did Shiva Baby.
Yeah.
With Rachel Sennott, who has been on my radar since Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I really liked her in that. I liked her in Shiva Baby, and she's pretty funny in this movie too. I think she co-wrote it. It's her and
Ayo
Edibiri. I've never heard it pronounced, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Who, you the listener might know her from The Bear.
Yeah,
she's the African American female. I think she's she a sous chef? Sydney, is that her character? Yeah. But those are the two leads, and basically it's kind of like a femcel fight club. So they're like two lesbians who are just kind of losers at their school, and there's like these two girls that they kind of have crushes on that they're trying to they're kind of like scheming, trying to figure out ways to be like, how can we get these girls to pay attention to us? Because, we're loser nerds and no one likes us. Which, it's kind of funny. During Barbie, there's like that scene where, who's the narrator for Barbie?
I think it's Helen Mirren.
Where she's like, note to the filmmakers, if you're trying to make Margot Robbie seem unattractive, like casting Margot was like the wrong choice.
Yeah, something like
I
that.
felt similarly with like Rachel Sennott. Like, she's a pretty good looking lady, and they're like trying really hard to like make her appear ugly and like unattractive, and it's like you can't really with Ayo, like they gave her kind of like baggier clothing. And like more unkempt hair, so like that seemed more believable. I just thought it was funny that they're like, wow, I can't believe we're such unattractive losers, and it's like, you're Rachel Sennott. I don't think that's true. But anyway.
Well, the movie from the trailer does feel like a throwback to like kind of 90s teen comedies.
Yes.
And that is kind of very in line with that. Like the unattractive girl is just a very attractive actress with glasses on type thing.
Yeah, or like wearing kind of ill-fitting frumpy clothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and very similarly to like that style of comedy, this is like very raunchy, very funny, almost in like a Danny McBride sense of humor kind of way.
Okay.
Where like all of the teachers at the school also just like say wild shit. It's almost like I don't think it's like hyper realism or whatever, but it's like this stuff that would not fly in like any sort of normal school. Like the whole premise is like there's like this other competing football team that's coming, and everyone has to get ready because like it's like the big game. And then this guy Nicholas Galitzine, I don't know what else he's been in, a bunch of new stuff, but he's kind of like the hunky football player. And that like the school loves, even the teachers love him, like to the point where there's like flyers that are like a picture of him on it, and it says like "get horny." So it's like official school everyone is on board on this dude being like a hot hunk that everyone loves, and the teachers are just like, "You're trying to sabotage this for him. We know it. Like we all love him. We all do this for Jeff." Like it's just everyone speaks in that way. But yeah, it was really, really funny. Very surreal at times. Like just like there's a decent amount of like heightened violence in it, which is like really great and unexpected and tickles my lizard brain.
So like a throwback to Oldboy 2013.
Yeah, exactly like that. And a very surprisingly funny performance from Marshawn Lynch, who is a football player, and I don't think has really any sort of like acting experience outside of this movie.
So kind of, he was in that show Murderville, where he's kind of playing himself, but kind of playing a character. It's like a half reality show.
Okay.
So yeah, kind of. That's the only other like acting thing I think I've seen him in.
Okay. But in this one, I guess they let him mostly like improvise a lot of his lines, and holy shit, some of the stuff that he came up with was pretty damn good. Also, there's like a little touching story that apparently he took the role to right the wrongs of how he reacted when his sister came out as gay. So he took the role, I guess, to be like more supportive of it, because
that's cool.
It is a very like queer movie, but it's also like queer, but they're also like mean girls. So it's like, we need female solidarity, and then it's like parentheses, only the hot ones though. So it kind of has that biting satire to it.
It's like, again, that I guess that's kind of why it makes me think of those 90s comedies, because like all of like a lot of those that weren't like romantic comedies necessarily. I mean, I guess technically they still were, but like American Pie or Road Trip or whatever, where it's like, it's the nerdy guys just trying to get laid. It's just it's the nerdy girls trying to get laid.
Yep. Yeah. And it kind of subverts that, where usually it's like Stifler or like whoever those. I haven't seen like the American Pie movies really, but you know, they're like you said, they're all trying to get laid, and that's pretty much what these two do, is like trying to scheme, and then they like inadvertently like bite off more than they can chew, and they're like, yeah, we're starting like a female solidarity group, and then it's like basically a fight club where they learn to like kick each other's asses kind of thing, all to like try to appeal to the hot girls that they want to seduce. They don't even know if they're lesbians. They don't even know. They're just trying.
They're just
but yeah, definitely a few spots where I laughed out loud pretty hard. It's tight and nighty. The leads are really, really good. Yeah, go see it. Bottoms is a lot of fun.
Sweet. Yeah. Oh, that's. I think that's.
It'll probably be on streaming soon, because I saw it in a tiny ass theater, so I can't imagine it's gonna be in theaters that much longer.
Yeah, I was half surprised that it was even showing at a theater around here, because it just seemed kind of smaller thing.
Barbie and Oppenheimer are like still in theaters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those aren't going. Those aren't going anywhere anytime soon, I think.
Yeah. And then we both watched a documentary. I watched it because you mentioned that you were gonna watch it, and I was like, okay, it was like kind of on my list, and then I was like, well, yeah, it's I like when we have stuff that we both watch. I was like, I'll watch it for the show, pretty much.
Yeah.
Telemarketers, a documentary about telemarketers. It's kind of a guerrilla documentary, kind of oddball thing. There was some stuff that I could like. I was like, oh yeah, I relate to that. Like when they got, because I was a telemarketer for about a year. I fucking hated it.
I did 3 months and I wanted to die.
Did you work at the same place as me? I think maybe you did.
No.
Okay. Or was it in Kalamazoo?
No, it was in Grand Rapids. It was like January 2022. So I guess it was last year.
Yeah, no, the place that I went to closed. I was interested. I was like, because
maybe you should have been documenting it.
Yeah, I know. Well, I didn't, because like that was the one thing is, it's like, it looked like, yeah, it was a scammy place, but like it looked like fun. Like where I worked, it was what you see, how you normally see those, where it's like cubicles, everybody staring at their screens. No, like some people talked a little bit, but it was just like,
yeah,
you go to your desk, you stare at a screen, you're on the phone. Like,
you gotta get your dials.
The most soul sucking shit. Like,
yeah,
it sucked. But something that I did relate to is when the guy was like, he has like the notebook full of like, these are all the people who were like assholes to me. I wrote down their names and their phone numbers, and like, I didn't do anything with mine, but I did write down a couple names. And I guess I won't say, but somebody that we know who I worked with did when there was still a payphone nearby, called someone up and did just kind of like basically a prank call, but only did it like the one time. Yeah.
Yeah. The place. So, but you weren't like asking for money. Yes and
God,
no.
I don't think so. I remember some of them. It was more just like surveys.
Yeah.
Which I also like thought was funny when they're like, "Oh, we're no longer are we is our job like telemarketers, we're
Consultants.
like consultant assistants or whatever." And I thought that was funny because at ours we were like market research specialist or something. That was like our title, or just
Yeah,
bullshit.
something to put on your resume. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was more surveys than asking. I know at least one of them, it was like we paid them if they completed the survey.
Right. And I think I remember you telling me about that. Wasn't it like very specific criteria they had to meet in order to get paid for it or something like that?
I think that's why they offered money, because it was like you had to have like a kid between like a very specific like within like these 6 months of age.
Right.
And and I think even like if we completed a survey, we also got like a little, for how many of those you got a little bit of a bump, but
like a commission or something. Yeah. I worked for 3 months at a window and roofing place. I won't be specific. I think there's a lot of them around here. I don't know. But the thing that like stuck out to me about Telemarketers, the documentary, this place that I worked at did sort of have that like, we're going to play hard, we're going to win hard, like super positive, like, come on guys, yeah, we're going to hit our dial goal this week, and we're going to basically our strategy was like call people up and then be like, hey, you got entered into this contest to get like a free window or roof. And then you basically use that as a wedge to get in and ask them, like, oh, which one would you change? Oh, windows or roof? Why would you pick that? And then you start asking them about their windows and their roof, and you start asking them, oh, what don't you like about your windows? What would you change if you could? Well, hey, wouldn't you know, one of our guys is going to be in your area, like, tomorrow. What time do you work? Would you be able to be home at, like, 6 o'clock? And then basically you get, it's a free measurement of your roof or windows. But then once the guy gets there in the house, it could easily turn into like a 4-hour presentation where he's going to try to close a sale. So technically I wasn't selling anything, but I was trying to like get my foot in the door to get someone else to go in and basically pitch to them to drop like $30,000 in like a new roof or new windows for the entire house. And watching Telemarketers, seeing that they had like all these different scripts and rebuttals for if they say this, you say that. Like I had like my cubicle pretty much looked exactly like theirs, just like the little pieces of paper here highlighted, like responses for everything. Like they had rebuttals for everything, and it was insane because it worked. Yeah. And it was like, oh shit, because there were times where like, I got someone on the phone and they almost did it and they said, we'll give you a call back. We'll think about it. And then I hung up, and one of my bosses was like, you could have had them call them back and say that there's going to be a guy in their area tomorrow. And that, like, I know you're going to travel, but like really quick, we could easily get someone in there to take a look at it real quick. And I called them back and it worked. She was right. And I'm pretty sure that was like a converted sale. Like I'm pretty sure the person that went and did the demo sold. I didn't see any of that.
Sure.
But like that sort of toxic positivity was like real. Ooh. And I couldn't 3 months is all I could handle, and I was like, I got to get out of this place.
I got fired because I couldn't follow the scripts, cuz I was just like it felt fucking dirty. It is. I hate it. I hate it. And I couldn't bring myself to do it. And I think what happened was like they had some of like the higher up people were like they like came in for the day or whatever, and they were like they were doing like monitoring random calls, and they just happened to be monitoring me when I wasn't doing the script right, or I wasn't, following the proper rebuttal things, because I hate them. Like, if somebody doesn't want to do one, I would just let them go, because I'm like, I get it. And I hate being pushy. And they were like, because like the higher up people were there, they were like, yeah, they heard that, so we gotta fire you, pretty much.
Damn.
And I was like, it was a situation where I was like, I felt bad for getting fired, because I don't know, it just feels bad getting fired, but also I was like, I don't
what a relief.
I don't want to work here. I hate this place. So
yeah, we would have to do like weekly, like my boss, who was a good like probably 10 years younger than me, he was like 19, but he was good at his job. He was really, really good at it. Like he would jump into the phone queue and like he would crush. He was really good at it. But like every week he would pick a good call, and he would pick a call that I could improve upon, and we'd listen to them. And hearing myself stutter and hear myself like flub on the script, and I was like, I know what I'm trying to do, but in that moment I flubbed and I said something wrong and I lost the call or whatever. Yeah, it feels incredibly dirty. All that to be said, so the purpose of Telemarketers,
right,
this documentary, it's about a very specific instance of this company that basically uses like fraternal order of the police to like raise donations for fallen officers or whatever, like bullshit.
Yeah.
And then it turns out all the money was going to just like the higher ups. Like the people that worked there didn't seem like they really got that much out of it. Like I think maybe for like 2007, $15 an hour was probably like, whoa, that's unheard of. I feel like in 2007 I was making like maybe $7.50 at a grocery store. Well, it's like almost double that.
Yeah, especially if you're like they said, like a lot of the people there were like just out of
felons.
prison, and like they hired the people who couldn't get hired anywhere else.
Yeah. And so you see behind the scenes this sort of camaraderie that almost looks like it'd be a fun place to work if that's like your deal, just like goofing off and being shitheads, but you're making your calls, so it doesn't matter. And then basically they go through this series of like getting shut down, but I think one of them describes it as whack-a-mole, where like you take one organization down and then 5 others pop up. Yeah. I mean, last week I got a robocall from like some police union like asking for donations. Like I got one. I've gotten them before. And I was listening to these guys' voice because like I was wondering if I got one of them.
One of them? Oh, man.
Because the main dude, Sam, when he puts on his like, hey, man, we're calling on behalf of the New Jersey Fraternal Order of Police, that tone of his voice, I'm like, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
So I wonder if like I might have gotten a robocall with like one of those guys' voice on it.
Oh, that's freaky. Yeah, that part was weird. Just to witness when they got the call from, it was like somebody that they knew or whatever from the company.
They're like, this guy died a year ago.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, gross.
But like you can ask the robot, oh, are you officer whatever? And it's like, yes.
Yeah.
It's like they know the guy and he's dead.
Yeah.
So, but I think, yes, the content of the documentary is interesting, but I think what HBO is trying to sell it on is the 2 guys that are putting it on, Sam and Patrick J. Pespis. What did you think of? I saw your Letterboxd review.
I thought they were fine. I didn't think they were quite as interesting as maybe, because I do agree that it does seem like that's kind of what they're trying to focus on too. I thought, yeah, he seemed like a nice guy, but I didn't think he was like particularly. He wasn't one of those like great documentary subjects to me, and honestly, I thought like the main guy, like he says that, you know, he just kind of started recording. He was just like a regular dude who worked at this place, and they were saying, oh, you should record this, and like, oh, just film the stuff that we make here, and oh, we should make a job or a film out of the crazy stuff that happens here. And like, I have worked at places where people have said that to me, like, oh, you need to film, and it's like, no, it's stupid. Like, I mean, if this big like conspiracy thing didn't happen here, yeah, all the videos that they took there were just kind of like dumb bullshit.
Right.
But I really felt like the lead dude, the Sam, like, yeah, the entire time it felt like a guy who just kind of stumbled into this. Like, I never felt like any of his narration or anything was that profound or enlightening or anything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what hurt it, because I liked the style. I liked even though I thought that everything they were saying was like not too earth-shattering, like, oh,
yeah,
corporations are shitty and do anything for money, and police are shitty and
yeah,
do anything for money. But yeah, I liked the overall, way it was presented, but it just it kind of lacked the depth I guess I want out of a documentary. And yeah, I thought Patrick was like fun. I liked him the most in the last episode, I would say. It kind of after his he kind of kicks the drugs, and when he's like laying out I think the most engaged I was when they actually get the meeting with the one politician guy.
And he's just like a total.
Yeah, it seemed, unless I misunderstood, it seemed like that guy was fighting for the same things that they were. And then Patrick just like lays everything out, and the guy's instantly just like, I don't have time for that. Like,
we'll look into it. We'll do what we can.
Yeah.
But it's very, and I think part of the reason that I think what's charming about it, but also what I think maybe hurts it a little bit, is that like these two guys are clearly not like media trained people.
Yeah.
And so Patrick is very just like to the point, borderline kind of prickly to these like interview subjects. And I think that's what causes that dude to like kind of pull back, because he's used to like all of these things being couched in a certain type of language. But, refreshingly, Patrick is just like, yeah, these guys are bullshit, and this is what they're doing, and it's bullshit. And like that is not good like kosher politician speak. So he's just like, yeah, I'll have my staffers follow up with you for some questions, and then the staffers come in and they're like, guys, we got meetings, we gotta tear it down, but we'll reach out to you. And it's just like, oh cool, more politician shit. What a surprise that none of them are actually willing to like go after the police unions.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just another gross, depressing like resolution.
Yeah, I did not. So I watched that, and I've been listening to a podcast called Blowback, and this fourth season is about the origins of like Al Qaeda in Afghanistan leading up to like 9/11. So between watching Telemarketers and seeing that police unions are basically never going to go away and control everything, to like, oh, like we basically created the Taliban and everything that led up to 9/11. I was like, man, this is not a good week for like my faith in any of our institutions at all. It's just like a hell of a bummer of a week.
Rocking in the free world.
Yeah. I did like that sort of guerrilla style of documentary filmmaking though, and I could tell when I saw like Ilara pictures and it was produced by like Josh and Benny Safdie. I was like, yeah, this seems like a Safdie brothers joint where it's like, it's kind of grimy, it's kind of like gross, that sort of like hand cam style footage, whatever. I felt bad for Patrick near the end, like it's clear that he's like a hoarder or something, like his plays, and it like the doc didn't shy away from that at all. Like they didn't like, hey, we can like clean up this set and make it look nicer, right? Like it had that very grimy feel, which like I think even in one of their early interviews with the first politician they got, or maybe I don't know. I forget who it is.
The
but
lady?
literally,
The one
you
that-
can see someone standing in you can see their hand in the frame while Patrick is like trying to talk to this dude. Where like they could have easily done like a little bit of a digital zoom to not have the dude's hand, but they kept it in, and I kind of like that to keep that sort of amateurish look to it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty good, but not very happy.
Yeah.
Which tends to be a lot of things that I watch.
Yeah.
And enjoy.
Those are the documentaries that always kind of seem to hit, are the ones that are like just bummers.
Yep. Anyway.
Speaking of bummers, seems like we just did a dud, but it wasn't, because that's a well. Okay, so for the viewers, the listeners, next week is going to be a Vault episode. It'll be the kind of continuation of our last one that we did like last month. But the GameCube, we're gonna talk about our personal top 10 GameCube games. Again, we're kind of focusing on different topics for our Vault episode. So maybe you're just here for the movies. So, but if you think that sounds like something that would interest you, a little different. I think it turned out to a good discussion. So, but for us and for the week after that, since we don't announce this in the episode, it is a dud week. So for that, we're gonna watch from 2007, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, The Happening.
Ooh, all right.
That was a good one.
Never seen that one. I think I know the twist in that one though. Is that Mark Wahlberg, Zooey Deschanel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
don't really think about that. I guess that is like presented as a twist. Oh, Google's saying 2008, so maybe it's 2008.
Sure.
It's
All right.
Whoops. It looks like it's for rent on YouTube, Amazon, Vudu, Apple TV, Google Play, YouTube. It's got a few options there. Watch it there if you don't want to be spoiled for The Happening. Before next week's episode, these episodes come out every Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST on YouTube and Twitch in video form, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more in audio form. We also have social pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Engage, check out our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Give us a
We're at
rating on our
184 now. 184
stuff.
subs.
That happened in like the last week. We were kind of
It did.
stagnant.
We should try. I think our goal should be like 200 by 2024.
Yeah,
I think we could do it.
I think we could do it. Yeah.
So if you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, just ring that bell.
Give it a sub.
I feel like such a sellout for saying that, but hit the subscribe button, like a video. I don't know. We've done 115 of these. There's bound to be something that you've seen in there.
Yeah, right? Yeah. We've done a lot of obscure bullshit foreign movies, but we've also got, we got the topical stuff in there.
Yeah.
We did Justice. Oh, wait, that's the one that doesn't exist anymore. I was going to say Justice League, but
The one episode I wasn't on.
Stuff. Oh, yeah, that too, yeah.
That is the only one.
But with all that said, so I can remember. Heaven release me from it. The rest is silence. because that's what movie makes you want to do.
Yeah.
TJ, aka J Spot Jack Cheese, and with me.
Oh, you said it. Don't do it. You said it.
Fuck.
Yeah, there you go. And as always, man, I think I've tried to forget everything that happened in this movie. And as always, I am the 2-star 2 boobs that made this movie worthwhile. Nick, I guess. This is weird. This horny button. Sorry, everybody.
And with that, we'll leave you with that.
Yeah.